welcome to episode number 950 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going there, sir?
Good. Just watching the Super Bowl halftime show. Not listening to it, obviously.
Oh, but, okay. That is.
You can see a bit of it in the reflection behind me there. So
you have to have the express written consent of the NFL in order to rebroadcast any game footage. Greg, you know that, right?
You're in charge, bro. Didn't you?
Damn.
Didn't you get the express written consent?
I forgot. Has anybody actually done that? I wonder if anyone has.
No, God, you.
I mean, they say that, right?
It would be so expensive.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's just you and me tonight. No Phil.
Finally.
Phil is under the weather.
He's under a lot of things.
Not feeling well, so he didn't want to hop on the microphone for 2 hours, and I mean, who could blame him, really? Like
the best part about Phil being, I mean, I don't want Phil to be hurt or anything like that, obviously, but the best part about Phil not being here is that we can say whatever we want about him because we know he doesn't listen. So
he also doesn't listen to the show.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much free reign.
That's right.
It's great.
We're not going to say anything bad about him, though. How could we? He's a great person and a great friend. I've known him for, probably 30 years at this point. Over 30 years? Yeah.
You've almost known me for 30 years.
Oh, shit.
So you've known Phil a long time because you knew him before you knew me.
I am not sure, actually. Maybe we should check the dates on that because you were on IRC and I was on IRC.
Yeah, so 96, 97.
Was when you joined IRC? You weren't on before that?
Yes, I think so. Because 97 is when we started Gaming Age. So we were gaming enthusiasts before then, which means we were definitely on IRC before we started Gaming Age. Okay. So yeah, I'd say 97 at the latest. I was on IRC.
Okay, so maybe I have known Phil longer than you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you would have. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I was on IRC probably in 94, 93, maybe even.
God damn.
I know, you blink and it's gone. Crazy.
It's crazy.
Oh, but anyway, let's talk about some video game news, shall we? PSN, okay. PlayStation Network. You know it. You love it. You can't get enough of it.
We can't get any of it for a little while this weekend.
You couldn't get any of it for a full day. Maybe over a day, I think. So in some parts of the world.
Did they say what happened?
No, they did not say what happened. No.
Okay.
Just
because it wasn't scheduled.
It was not scheduled.
No.
Just that it went down, and apparently from an operational issue, that could mean anything.
Yeah, that's code for anything at all. Yeah.
It could mean anything. But PSN users, we get 5 days tacked on to our membership. An additional 5 days of service because of the outage. So not too bad.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, the outage was basically mostly done at a time when I wasn't even playing, so I'll take that.
Yeah.
I was at a volleyball tournament most this weekend.
The only way that I really noticed was that it didn't upload my screenshots that I was taking from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and I couldn't post them on the internet or show Phil my progress in the game. That was why I was taking
to know I'm playing this.
The screenshots. So I had to wait until after the outage was over to do that. But yeah, and luckily all my digital games seemed to be okay. Like I was able to play things. I know there were some people who were not able to play some things, but I
mean,
didn't impact me.
I was playing a little bit on Saturday night, and I was trying to jump. I had a friend over, and we were trying to check on something in Gran Turismo. But of course, Gran Turismo 7 is one of those games where you can technically play it when you don't have a connection, but not really. Like you can access some events but you don't have access to like your saved replays. I don't think you have access to all the tracks or cars. You can't check your garage. It's pathetic. Actually, I really, really hate that about an always connected. Well, most of our games are always connected at this point. But I could still play Balatro and I could still play Arzette, which I was playing this week and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's
you
nice.
have Balatro on PSN?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had it on Steam Deck.
No, I have it on PSN and I have it on mobile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
nice.
But honestly, it should be everything. I should be able to play everything, especially, I don't know, like turn off the online competition parts of the games. But I hate that something like GT7, even the single player, is so completely connected to having a connection. So completely reliant on having a connection that the game is basically unplayable if there's a problem.
Well, they don't want you to cheat.
Yeah, it's stupid. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah. It is stupid. I agree. All right. Well, that's PSN. Do you remember when it was down for a whole month?
Mm-hmm.
When that happened?
The dark
SOCOM
times.
4 came out and then PlayStation Network was down for a whole month after, kind of ruining the launch of that game.
Thanks, Obama.
Franchise. Yeah.
I wonder if that killed that franchise. I mean, it couldn't have helped, obviously, but I wonder if that franchise was just hanging on at that point or what. So
that's a good point. It was probably pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Do you think that one will ever come back, SOCOM? You think it could come back? So
maybe.
Hard these days with like Call of
Yeah.
Duty and stuff.
Yeah. I don't think so, but who knows?
The original SOCOM was so much fun. And the first episode
of
deal. This podcast I recorded on a SOCOM headset.
Same here. No, that was a big deal because it was like it was one of the very first sort of games that relied on voice chat, right?
Yeah.
Didn't that single player version also let you command your unit using voice commands?
I think you're
I
right.
want to say you could, but I'm not sure.
That sounds familiar. I never did it.
I barely ever played SOCOM.
Yeah. It was fun time though. Fun game. All right. Speaking of fun games, Wario Land 4 from the Game Boy Advance is coming to NSO for Valentine's Day, February 14th. So if you have the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, you'll get to play Wario Land 4.
I've never played a Wario Land game. Not really.
Never?
Nope.
Oh.
Those really launched in popularity right around the time I was not into Game Boy. Because Game Boy came out, I was super into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got away from it pretty fast because I actually ended up selling my Game Boy to buy my first Genesis. So I got out of Game Boy pretty quickly. And I really didn't get back into it until the Game Boy Color came out, which was like, what, 98?
Yeah.
I think.
But that launched with a Wario Land game.
I know, but it wasn't the first. I wasn't into the Wario Land games at that point.
Oh.
Right. Like I didn't even play Mario Land 2. Like 6 Golden Coins, which is kind of where he came from, wasn't it? Wasn't it that game?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So, and then that sort of launched the Wario Land franchise. And I wasn't interested. So I never really played them.
Well, you're missing out on a good series.
Now I can play it on my Switch.
A lot of fun. Yeah, you can. And you better.
Probably won't.
You better do it. Just kidding. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
Don't feel pressured to do it. So let's talk about some Switch 2 stuff here. There's a new patent that was released or that was unearthed. Here, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can look at it together. And people in audio land can, they can listen along with everybody.
They can
else.
Sit and spin.
They can sit and spin.
CJ
All right, so
say.
Switch 2 Joy-Con patent shows a potential new controller, also with mouse support. So, yeah, they showed off this patent which shows a Joy-Con being used as a mouse and how you kind of would do that. So the Joy-Con is up on its side and you have your index finger on the L or R trigger, I guess in this case, and thumb on the right analog stick. And I guess your second finger here, the middle finger, is on ZR as well in this photo. So that's kind of
Okay.
like, yeah, you can use the mouse functionality and then also have the analog stick for your thumb and also 2 buttons. That seems
I
interesting.
am truly curious as to what game Nintendo has in store for us that this functionality exists.
Because they have something.
Well,
The fact that this exists,
yeah,
they have to have
exactly.
something.
Exactly. And I mean, that for years, that was, I feel like they've gotten away from it a little bit, but for years that was like Nintendo's thing. Like the N64 controller was the way it was because of Mario 64.
Yeah.
Right? Like they built that controller around Mario 64. And I think I think the GameCube, whatever, I don't know what game it was, but they kept innovating with controllers because of the needs of like 1 or 2 first party Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, motion controls,
same
like
thing, right?
Second screen. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So like the fact that this mouse functionality even exists, I'm dying to know what game has led to this. And also I can't help but think that will be one of a handful of games that actually takes advantage of this control setup. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm not sure though, because as a lot of people have pointed out, this could make porting PC games to the Switch a lot easier if you know that you have a mouse.
Yeah, maybe.
Potentially. I don't know.
I feel like you'll see it as an option if like they port, like, say, I'm thinking something along the lines of like a Civ game or something, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, but they'll still have to make it controller friendly.
Yes.
But they'll give you, it's like, hey, by the way, you can use the mouse. But I don't, what I'm saying is I'm really curious to see how many games lead with this control style.
Actually, you don't think that they would allow games on the eShop that would be mouse only? Because
I'm not saying they won't allow it. That's true, I guess.
Switch 2, you have the mouse. Like you have the controller.
Yeah.
It's not like an optional peripheral.
I'm just curious how I wouldn't be surprised if it's optional in a lot of games, but I'm just saying I'd be curious to see how many lead with it. Like along the lines of say like Switch or not Switch, the Wii, right? I mean, the Wii was like it was motion control, and you were going from like that was a big deal, and everyone was trying to make it work. Although you did get to the point after a while that a lot of games are just like, or you can use the controller if you want, kind of thing. But they were still leading with motion controls. The point was the motion controls. I'm curious to see what the adoption rate for this will be. I feel like it'll be probably the same adoption rate we saw for that functionality that the current Joy-Cons have that I can't even remember the name of right now because nobody ever used it.
It's the IR
IR sensor.
Yeah.
Right? Like nobody uses it. It's there, but nobody uses it.
And it's apparently gone from Switch 2. So.
Right. So I feel like this mouse stuff will be along the same lines. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't work at Nintendo.
I think you're wrong. I think we'll see more adoption of this than we did the IR sensor for sure. That's my... And plus, having a mouse with Switch 2 makes it so easy for them to just make Mario Paint 2, right?
I see that being that's my leading theory, is that we're going to see the return of Mario Paint.
Yeah, that would be my leading theory as well. Maybe like a new Super Mario Maker, that would be cool. To be able to use a mouse to do that stuff would be
that awesome. Would make a lot of sense too.
Yeah. But anyway, this new patent also shows off a different controller, as you can see in this figure right here. And they show it being used in a little bit different way from a Joy-Con. But yeah, kind of having a button layout and a trigger layout, but it's a mouse that's being like used almost like a I don't want to say like a stylus, but it's like your hand is supposed to be a certain way, like you're almost writing something in this image. It
Honestly,
looks pretty interesting.
This new pattern looks a lot like a split pad.
A split pad.
In that, right? Like, because you've got the little nubbins hanging off the bottom there that you actually can grip, as opposed to the Joy-Cons, which are not, friendly at all, ergonomically friendly at all. Like that was the first when I saw this pattern, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, it really looks like a different version of like the split pads that we're all using on our Switches now.
That's a good point. I didn't even really know, because I saw this dotted line here and thought that was the controller there. But no, you're right. It's like an ergonomic. It goes, it's larger. Maybe this is the Pro controller for the.
That was my first thought.
Switch 2. That could be interesting. A Pro controller that would also do mouse stuff.
Well, I mean, it would make sense, right? Because that's, again, the Pro controller has always been sort of like bereft of the same features that the Joy-Cons have. It can't do what the Joy-Cons can do. So maybe
especially for Mario Party, when you can't play Mario Party with a Pro controller, and that's right. Like you have more Pro control, like that's what you have. It had to have a Pro controller that could split and be used as 2 Joy-Con. That could be very interesting. Yeah. Well, anyway, very, very interesting stuff. Let's talk about the Switch 2 Direct, because that we knew that it was happening on April 2nd.
Right.
So that's not news. What is news is the timing. So it's going to be 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Do you think that means it goes on sale that day?
No.
I
can't imagine that it does. Right?
Why would they do that then?
What do you mean?
Why would they have it so early?
Because Japan and the US and the UK, 6 a.m. is probably like right at the end of Japan's day.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, they are really revealing a new system. I guess that makes sense.
They are revealing a new system.
That's great. So that's going to happen right in the middle of my workday. That's awesome.
Well, what you have to do is you have to call in sick. Say up. Taking the whole day off for this Nintendo thing. If you were a true Nintendo fan, you would.
It's a Wednesday. I have a weekly scrum that morning.
Oh. Right
at the same time. I have to talk to my boss and see if they just want to watch the Direct instead.
Oh, there you go.
Probably
Perfect. Not. Perfect. So yeah, that's when we'll get our first look at Switch 2 games and stuff. How long do you think the Direct will be? If you had to guess it, is this going to be a long Direct? Is this going to
show the system?
Short and to the point? They're going to show the system.
I feel like
for
that's
the first
Nintendo's
time?
thing, is short and to the point, right?
Well, I also wonder, so yeah, they're doing this Direct. Are they going to do like a Treehouse Live thing as well? Like, are they going to do sort of ancillary things outside of the Direct format that it goes deeper into some of the game related stuff or hardware related stuff, where the Direct is like top level features and game announcements, and then you have a Treehouse Live right after or something like that?
I imagine that'll be the case.
I think they did something like that with the larger Switch 1 presentation that was like right at the beginning of 2017.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that makes I think that because their Directs always seem to be really short and sweet. I think you'll see a really good overview of the system and its features, and then you'll see like 2 or 3 to 5 launch window games, and then it'll be over. And then I think that's exactly what'll happen, is there'll be like a subsequent Treehouse thing.
Let's hope. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about this Direct. Very excited.
I'm excited for a new Switch.
I'm excited. Oh man, how long has it been a topic of conversation? Not just a new
Like
Switch,
2 years
but like
now.
Switch Pro and all
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
long time.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo. Uh, I don't remember if he's the president of Nintendo, but Shintaro
Reggie? Do you mean Reggie?
Shuntaro Furukawa was asked about, because they had a shareholders meeting very recently. He was asked how Nintendo plans to ensure a smooth launch for the Switch 2, especially considering stock shortages and such, and the problem with scalpers. And Furukawa said that Nintendo has made preparations based on its past experience and plan to prepare enough Switch 2 console inventory to meet demand. He said, quote, "We will take all possible measures based on the experience we've accumulated to date regarding scalpers and the like. We are making preparations."
God, I hope they can do it.
But I can't imagine any other scenario where pre-ordering a Switch 2 isn't a complete shit show. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to do that? Because, and part of the problem is that a lot of people, myself included, aren't going to be just wanting to order one. Like, I'm going to want to order another one for my daughter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not the only person in that boat that is going to be ordering multiple Switches.
Yeah.
So then what do? I kind of hope, and maybe this is the case, maybe it's not the case, that Nintendo has some way to order a Switch 2 directly from them, and like they did with Alarmo last year, they required that you had an active NSO subscription.
That wouldn't be the worst thing.
And they do it in order of how long you've had that NSO subscription.
I'd be curious if they would do that. But yeah.
Then I'll be fine. Because I've had an NSO subscription. You're just going to keep whittling that
down to like, and they do it in order of if your name starts with Chris Johnston.
Yeah.
You get to go first.
Yes. Mr. Furukawa, could you please make that happen? That'd be excellent. No, but I mean, there's got to be something they can do. Like, and even then, people will resell the Switch 2s that they get that way, right? Like, I don't see any like new electronics, especially something as anticipated as the Switch 2. Which, I mean, we had all those leaks and the freaking like Genki stuff that was going on at CES. Like, people are highly anticipating this system, so it's gonna be a problem. Please make it easy for us plebs who really want to
who just want to play the system. Yeah,
who just want to play the games, to buy it easily, please.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, buying anything even remotely sought after online is such a pain in the ass now. And like something that's this exciting and is this sought after is going to be a nightmare.
It is. Let's hope it's a little better than true nightmare. Yeah. Anyway, so in the same interview, or in the same investor Q&A, Furukawa said that the Nintendo Switch 2 price will consider the affordability customers expect from Nintendo. So could that mean that it's not going to be $400? Is that going to mean that it's going to be $300, $350, $350, the current price of the OLED model Switch?
Wasn't I saying I thought it would be less than $400 before?
You might have. I think it'll be $400.
I think 400 will be high end.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see, like, I still think that there's a window there to drop the price of the current Switch hardware so that they can release this under 400, like significantly under 400. But who knows? I mean, maybe that won't happen. But
then the Switch Lite is already under 200. It's at
but then you got the Switch and you got the Switch OLED. So I'm saying that I think you want to bring it out a little bit higher priced than those things.
Mm.
Which I think the best way to do that is to drop the price of those things. Maybe not the Switch Lite, who knows? But the main unit and the OLED.
Yeah,
Just my opinion.
could be. Nintendo never does they never drop the price of the Wii U at all.
Yeah, but the Wii U was an abject failure. That's a little different.
Did they ever drop the price of like the 3DS when the new 3DS came out?
I don't remember.
Because they might do the same. Whatever they did for that, they may do the same thing here.
Right.
Where maybe they drop the price in order to clear out old stock or something.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's just
but
it.
They don't continue making the Switch 1 at,
If the Switch 2 is fully backwards compatible, why would they continue making the Switch 1? Like there's no sense
reason
in
to.
that. Yeah.
No, especially if you have the Switch Lite,
right?
Kind of taking in the budget,
which is another reason why you drop the price.
Possible, yeah, I could see it. All right, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta. So, the trailer for Metal Gear Solid Delta leaked via PSN, the PSN store. It was just suddenly visible on the store page for the game. Whoops. But it's widely expected that the game is going to be announced at a State of Play presentation, which is rumored to be this week. Who knows if that'll happen, but rumored to happen this week. And the release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, is August 28th.
Are you excited?
I never played Snake Eater.
Neither did I.
At all. Never played it.
I did play it. I didn't play it very much. Because I was a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, and Metal Gear Solid 2 was so great. Yeah. And then 3 came out, and it just that game just did nothing for me at all. Yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I'm hoping that the changes that they do make to modernize it make it more playable in a way that I enjoy. But I'm not holding my breath because I can't decide if it was the play mechanics or just the control that I didn't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, it's going to be interesting too because obviously Kojima is not involved with this game at all, and I feel like after Metal Gear Solid 2 is when the games really started being more of an indulgence of Kojima's eccentricities as a director rather than like tight video games. And what do you do when you're making an update to a series without the director's involvement, and that director is like still living and making games? Like, it's so strange. Like, how is that going to be judged? Is it going to be looked at positively with some of the changes they made, or are Kojima fans who have a certain way that they like things not going to like this because it does something reverse or not what they think?
I think
Kojima would do.
There'll be a huge backlash. I think there probably already is, just because there's Metal Gear. Because this is only. They did release that online only, or that multiplayer Metal Gear after he was gone. Yeah, that I think was universally panned. But
I never played it.
I don't think very many people did. But there'll be a backlash for this, just because they're still looked at as his games, and I think rightfully so. They are his games. He made them what they were. His vision is what made. Even way back in the day, like the original Metal Gear was supposed to be an action game. And it was Kojima, when he was put in charge of it, who turned it into what it was, turned it into the stealth action. So, it's his series. They're his characters. It's his game, but it all belongs to Konami. So
that's true.
So there's going to be a backlash for sure. There's no getting around that. But I don't think the backlash will be based on whether or not the remake is actually any good. I think it's going to be based on the fact that it's not Kojima doing the remake. So I don't think one will really dictate the other, and I don't think you can trust one to tell you whether that's the case. I think it's just going to be one of those things where you need to find some more reasonable voices who actually give the game a chance. But yeah, we'll see.
True. We shall see. August 28th. We also got a launch date for Capcom Fighting Collection 2. May 16th is when this comes out.
My birthday.
Oh, there you go. This includes Capcom versus SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, Capcom versus SNK 2 Mark of the Millennium 2001.
Those are good
Capcom
games.
Fighting Evolution, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, Project Justice, Power Stone 2, and Plasma Sword, Nightmare of Bilstein.
I want to say I played Plasma Sword, but I don't remember it.
I don't.
Was that
I
a
definitely
3D
don't
fighting game?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not into fighting games anymore. Maybe Power Stone 1 and 2 may be worth it.
I think that's a big deal because Power Stone have they ever been re-released? I think they have been re-released on something else. No?
Have they? I don't think so.
I don't know. Anyway, there are people who absolutely love Power Stone.
Yeah.
And I think those games have been stuck on the Dreamcast. So that's pretty big. Yeah, I mean, Capcom versus SNK games are fantastic. Everything else in that list, if you're not a Power Stone fan, it's all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Project Justice, Capcom Fighting Evolution. What was that? I don't even remember what that is. That's not a 3D game.
I don't know enough about these games at all. Like, there are 4 games on that list that I remember playing and I remember really liking, and that's Capcom versus SNK games and the Power Stone games. Yeah. I remember playing Street Fighter Alpha 3, but that was very much at the point that I was past my fighting game days. You know what I mean? Like, and I also felt like that we were still right in the throes of Capcom not being able to move on from Street Fighter 2 for some reason. It was just taking them forever to do that. So I really checked out of Street Fighter at that point. Alpha 2 is one of my favorite fighting games ever. I loved Alpha 2. But yeah, I was kind of over all of it by the time Alpha 3 came out, and I didn't like Street Fighter 3 at all. And so yeah. But it's good that these are going to be there. Capcom vs. SNK games are fantastic. I would still play those. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's that part of the show where we talk about the games, what we've been playing. And Greg, you are up first, sir.
I decided to finally take on a game that I've been meaning to play for a while now, which is called Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, which I believe came out just about a year ago as of this recording. So a little bit of background on this. It was made by a developer called CDI Software. And the director, and I'm going to say this name wrong, Seth Fulkerson, sort of gained fame from porting the old CDI Zelda games to PC, Windows, and Linux. Link to Faces of Evil and Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon. So he ported them to Linux and Windows and made them pretty playable, apparently. And then they were online for like a few minutes, and then they were like a couple days, and then they were gone. I'm sure you can still download them if you want to. But anyway, so what Arzette is a kind of a Metroidvania style game, but made to look like it was on a CD, like came from a CDI. Made to look like it was made for the CDI. So it's just a side-scrolling platform, like I said, sort of a Metroidvania style game, where you play as Princess. What is her name? Arzette. Hey, just like the game, Princess Arzette, who you're just going through these different levels, collecting all this different gear and sort of filling out this really short storyline to go find the final boss and kill him, and upgrading your weapons along the way and everything like that. But it's all done. The presentation is very CDI, and I have to say they did a fantastic job. Because it is a very playable game. It's a very enjoyable game. It's very playable. But it absolutely looks like it could have been released on a CDI. Like and it's almost hard to describe what that means. But like, as soon as you see it, it's like, yes, absolutely. Like, just things like the backgrounds are all, they're just all these big images that are blurred. You know what I mean? Like, there's no detail in any of the backgrounds, the parallax backgrounds, and the art style is very, I don't know how to describe it. Not necessarily super attractive, and like it
very
looks
90s.
It looks like it's using because the big thing about the CDI and the 3DO and everything, when they were getting into that they had enough power and enough resolution to use like photorealistic textures and photorealistic sprites, and they used them, but they never really blended them into the game. Like, they never looked like they necessarily belonged in the games. It looked like somebody was using like really high resolution in Photoshop to create stuff, but like there was no real depth to it, and there's the artistic style necessarily wasn't always great. And to the point, like, I remember in platforming games back then on those systems, one of the things that I found is sometimes it was really hard to tell what was a platform and what wasn't. And like Arzette they really recreate that look and feel beautifully, but still keep the game very playable. So it's a really interesting balancing act that they're doing throughout the whole game, and I found that I really enjoyed it. And then the capper is that if you have never played any of these CDI Zelda games and all you've ever seen is what's online, and I mean, if you listen to this show, like we're looking at this here right now on the screen, the CDI Zelda games, I don't know if both of them were, but one of them in particular were famous for terrible cutscenes with not amazing acting, but like what it was you had sort of these characters that were floating over whatever the game screen was. They weren't necessarily in the space. It was almost like they were against a blue screen, and like there were camera movements and everything like that, but it was all very jarring because it was just literally the screen of the game behind it, and it wasn't animated very well. It was very low frame rate. The characters' dimensions didn't necessarily stay consistent, and like I said, wild camera swings, but without the background ever moving around. And so anyway, in Arzette, that is how every cutscene is done, and it's done that way on purpose, and it gives it such just a very almost adorable quality because the cutscenes are just deliberately bad. And the voice acting, I think there are some professional voice actors. They actually got some of the voice actors from those old Zelda CDI games to contribute. But like, you've got YouTubers doing voice, like John Linneman, I think, does some voices. The guys at My Life in Gaming did voices. The guy who does, I think it's called Wrestling with Gaming, who's a big CDI fan, he did some voices, and there's a lot of other names in there that I don't really know, but that's kind of where it came from. And that's not to say that they're bad, but they're not like professional voice actor quality in the least. Anyway, it's like a 4-hour game. And I finished it today. I really liked it. It's not incredible. Like, I'm not going to say, oh my God, it's on my, it would be on my top 5 list. It absolutely is not. But it's still very playable. And there's a lot of exploration there if you want to do it, but you don't have to either. You can kind of just charge through right to the end. But I finished it with like 94% of items found and everything. And I kind of want to go back and get the rest of them and even with that, it took me under 4 hours to beat it. So it's very short, and they promise a sequel at the end, and they tease a sequel at the end. Yeah, I really liked
Cool.
it. It's kind of it's a really nice homage to a couple of games that I think very few people know about, and those that do know about it only know about them because they're a joke on the internet and didn't actually play them. And one of the people who actually did play them, not extensively, but I did play them back in the day on actual CDI hardware, and they were unplayable. They were terrible. But they managed to, again, it's like a loving homage to what those games were, but also a very playable little like monster layer, monster world style Metroidvania. And it's cheap. I think it was like, I think I got it for like less than $20.
Nice.
So recommended. Definitely recommended if you like those kinds of games. Again, it's not going to be, and there's 2 difficulty levels, casual. Actually, there's 3. Once you beat it, you unlock a different difficulty level. But like casual, I think the only difference is that you actually get health pickups, whereas on normal difficulty, there are no health pickups. So it can be pretty challenging. But there again, there's enough there to keep you going. Like there's a lot of you get a lot of really interesting items. It's pretty on the nose. You get into different areas, and it's not necessarily as much about exploration as it is like, well, there's a wall that I can blow up over there, but I don't have bombs. Or they literally have blocks, different colored blocks that block off parts of the levels. You just have to find items that will break those eventually, so you'll come back to them. So it's not like amazing level design or anything like that, but again, it fits sort of the style of the game they're trying to pay homage to. So I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. It was very casual play, and I liked it a lot. So,
nice.
Yeah, I dug it. I'm glad I finally played it.
Cool deal. Is that all you've been playing?
That's it. Oh, actually, one more thing I want to do real quick. I'm sorry. Sure. We had our final race of the current Gran Turismo 7 Player One Podcast Racing League this past week. I managed to win the race, but did not have a chance to win the championship. So just wanted to say congratulations to Mook and GSR Jedi for winning the championships this season. I'm going to get CJ to send you some trophies sometime.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, Greg, you will be happy to know that I played some video games this week.
Thank God.
And I'll put one of them up on the screen here. I went back to Infinite Wealth.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Like a Dragon. Oh, hello. I unmuted it. And I am in Hawaii now, and I have unlocked some more things. And I think so. I stopped playing, but I stopped playing too soon before I had started unlocking the really fun stuff in the game. So I had played through Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. When I started that, I played a little of it, stopped, then played some more, stopped, and then played once I think Phil started playing. And I picked it up again and then really started loving it. And so I kind of have done that with Infinite Wealth as well, where I played a little, stopped, because it came out right after I was done with The Man Who Erased His Name. And I played through that. And so I played some Infinite Wealth. But now I'm in Hawaii. I have started roaming the map even more. Here, I'll fast forward to maybe a part that's in Hawaii. And I'm enjoying it a whole lot more. And part of it is that I'm not doing fast travel in the game. You can do fast travel, but I just enjoy wandering the streets. And the team, the Ryuga Gotoku team, has they really do a great job in making this cityscape full of things to do and collect. There's always something around the corner. If there's a little nook and cranny in an alley, or it's not even an alley, it's like half an alley, it's an alcove in a building, and you can get there and there's always something there, right? Always a little pickup that you can get. Maybe it's an item that gives you some health or whatever. There's always something there. So you do that, and then I unlocked the Sujimon battle system thing, which is like a sort of Pokemon riff where you're collecting like the baddies in the game and fighting them amongst each other. Like there's a real like Sujimon battle thing that you can do now. You can collect and make a party of these Sujimon and fight them against other trainers. And there are raids that you can do as well to get more Sujimon, and it's just a whole like side game. Then there's that Crazy Taxi style delivery game, which we were talking about last week. There's a dating, you run into this woman who's like a matchmaker. Her name is Miss Match, and she has launched a dating app in Hawaii only. It's in beta, and you have to like help beta test this dating app with people. And there's a mini game there as well where you're trying to attract women to go on dates with you through like little mini game things and little button pressing mini games, which by the way, on PlayStation, my many hours of Parappa the Rapper and Jammer Lammy have taught me where each button on the PlayStation controller is, and is making me pretty good at this dating app mini game. Because you have to press a button sequence like that to reply to the woman you're trying to woo on the app. It's very fun. But yeah, so there are all these little things you can do. You can like wave to people and become friends with them on this like Facebook style social network. There's like so many things to do in this game.
Oh my God.
And I'm not doing fast travel. I'm not using this Segway style street surfer thing that lets you move faster around the map. Like I'm just running around the map and doing battles and having a lot of fun with it. And it's great.
Nice.
And I think maybe when I initially started playing Infinite Wealth, I was missing all of those wacky pieces, and they're kind of coming into view now again as I'm wandering the map and unlocking them. So very pleased with it. It's a great game, Infinite Wealth. I keep wondering when I'm going to unlock Dondoko Island. So this is the game's like game within a game thing. That's kind of an Animal Crossing style thing where you go to this island and then you can open businesses there, open different tourist attractions and start making money. Very similar, I guess, to the sort of business simulation in like a Dragon, where you own a confectionery company, and your goal is to make it the number one company in Japan by the end of a certain year or whatever. And that was super fun and really wacky, and I really got into that, and I'm looking forward to whenever I'm able to go to Dondoko Island. And I'm at the point in the story right now where I'm helping this sort of charity group collect food for the homeless, and they have, as part of their thing, it's a little bit spiritual. They're talking about some kind of island that is off the coast of Hawaii that's very important, sacred to them. And I keep wondering, like, is this the island that I get to go to and like kid out with all this stuff? And I am wondering when that whole thing unlocks. But God, it's such a fun game. And I'm so pleased that this series is doing well in the US now. And the fact that
they keep churning them out every 6 months. So,
well, not every 6 months. I know, but it's every year.
For the size of them, I can't believe how fast they come out.
I know. They must have teams that are just dedicated to doing like the mini games in this game or that game, right? Like they must have, people directly. I don't want to fast forward too quickly or too far in these cutscenes, spoil myself, but they must have entire teams that work on, okay, you're doing the mini game for this Yakuza game. Or, there are arcade games that you can play in full in the game as well. I haven't really done any of that in the Yakuza games, but you can like play Virtua Fighter 3 TB.
Isn't Daytona 2 coming out on one of these soon?
Daytona 2 is in Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm also, hey, Sega, just release these in a compilation, will you? Like, it's great they're in Yakuza, but come
on. Greg, this is your call to play the Yakuza games.
I don't want to play them just to play those games.
Well, why not?
Because
you could get into it. They're good games.
I'm sure they're great games, but I just would love to be able to sit down and play Daytona 2 or Virtua Fighter 3 TV or, anyway.
Well, you don't have to get too far into them.
Whatever. You're missing the point.
Well, then you also have to play like Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, to play. I forget what game it was in there, but it was something good. So I've been playing that and enjoying the hell out of it. It's a great game. Then I've also been playing the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, I guess. Yeah.
You tell me.
It's a beta. It's their beta right before launch. Apparently it's still an old version of the game itself. So it maybe doesn't run as well as it will when the final game comes out. And they have a few extra things in this one. They did a beta last fall. I did not play it then, but I did play the first little bit of this one. And I was kind of surprised at how cinematic everything is in this one, all the way through, like, even the intro bits and gameplay, just really like action-y feeling, and it didn't feel like a old clunky Monster Hunter game. Like the footage that you're kind of seeing right now, you're running through this desert area, and it's
honestly,
sort of
this footage you're showing right now looks like it's from Panzer Dragoon 2.
Yeah, it's sort of scripted.
Straight out of that, but yeah.
But it's really fun. It has a really sort of epic feeling to the whole thing, and it's amazing to me that, like, we're at the point now where, and Monster Hunter was a game that was on the PSP. Like, that's where it sort of originated, right? And the graphics were not impressive in that, but now you have this game where it's like, shit, they can make you like leap from these huge cliffs and make it look super cool. And there's the environments look great, tons of vegetation everywhere, but they've made it a lot easier to play. Like in this game, you can hit a controller directional and have your little mount like automatically go to where the monster is.
Okay.
Like before, you kind of had to search them out. Here, at least in this beta, you can just press a hotkey, and it's almost like in Red Dead Redemption 2, where you have your horse like automatically go to the next spot or wherever you marked on the map.
Okay.
It's kind of like that, where you can just have them go find the monster that you're hunting, right? You can, of course, interfere. You can stop that if you need to go somewhere else or like see something you want to collect and whatnot. But I thought that was really cool. And the fact that you can now carry two weapons, I think is pretty awesome as well.
Innovative.
Because before you had to like box yourself into a particular weapon, or at least I felt like I had to. But now I can carry two, so I can do like a ranged weapon plus a close-in melee weapon, which I chose the charge blade as my weapon. They have this thing in the game, which I thought was really great. Because if you're new to Monster Hunter, you're going to look at all these weapons and be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to pick. They have like a little, your base camp after this sort of first intro scene. They have like a base camp where you can ask an NPC and they'll give you a little quiz about what weapon you might like. So you sort of tell them your fighting style, whether you like to fight close quarter combat or if you're a more ranged player, or, do you like strategic or tactical combat, or like they ask you a bunch of questions and then recommend a weapon that you can then pick up.
Okay.
And you can try out on this sort of target barrel right next to you and see if you like the feel of that, and you can switch it if you want to as well. So, really kind of enjoying Monster Hunter Wilds, and I was watching a couple people stream it because they have new monsters in this beta that were not in the previous one that are way above my skill level in terms of taking down. So I wanted to watch other people do it, and just the visuals alone in this are amazing. It looks great. I'm going to play it. We'll see if we can get some Player One Podcast Discord hunts going up.
I'm sure you can.
I'm sure that I can too. And it's crossplay as well. So I think for the first time in the series, it's crossplay. And so PC, PlayStation, Xbox will all be able to play it together, which is cool. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This comes out at the end of the month.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's when you're going to stop playing Like a Dragon.
About it. Yes. If I haven't already finished it, which is likely, then I will stop playing Like a Dragon. Although, like the week before Monster Hunter comes out, that's when Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii comes out, and I'll be playing that as well. So I'll be playing
busy lad.
Some kind of Yakuza game. Yeah, excited about that Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii game. Looks great. Anyway, I guess that means it's time for tweets. Do I have the correct thing open? Let's find out.
Tweedle-diddle-dee. Kill me. Tweedle-diddle-dee. Tweet. 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 Tweet.
All right. See, he's not even here, and he's able to do the tweet song. All right, so let's do this one from Hacker Alias Night Attack, who says, recently finished replays of The Last of Us Part 1, Part 2, and I'm watching Season 1 of the TV show. Again, there seems to be some belief a third game is on the way. Now, I know most of you wrongly disliked The Last of Us Part 2. That wasn't me, by the way. I liked it. I liked Last of Us Part 2. But what would you want from 3, and why is it a new story set in England, France, or Canada? Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know if a 3 is happening, which I really feel like it isn't. But if it is, I kind of agree. I don't know that the setting has to be completely different, but I think they need to get away from, I think Ellie and Joel's whole story arc is done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like there's really anywhere left to go. The first game ended in such a way that it made a ton of sense for us to play as her after she'd grown up, and also to play as other characters and sort of explore the ramifications of what Joel had done during the first game and at the end of the first game. I thought that was a great jumping off point story-wise for a sequel. So I liked that about the sequel. I didn't like how they played out those two different storylines and the forced conclusion at the end. We talked about that a lot on the show.
Part 2?
Yeah, I didn't like the way Part 2 ended at all.
I did.
But
I liked
either way.
it. Yeah.
Either way, I think that like that story is done. So I'm not, but they've got a world they've created there that they could absolutely open up and do completely unrelated characters. I mean, much like we talked about this a lot.
See that?
Yeah, talked about this a lot with having just played through A Quiet Place. You know, like those movies have little to no link with one another except that they're happening in the same world during the same events, right? Yeah. So, absolutely, you could do that. And I mean, when you look at the Last of Us series. TV series, they were doing kind of the same thing. They were expanding on some of the characters that you'd met in that. And like, you know, Ellie and Joel weren't even major parts of the story in some of those episodes. So I could see that happening. If they do a Last of Us 3, which I don't feel like they're going to do, I agree. It needs to be completely new characters.
That's right. They need to do Last of Us Vice City in Miami. Let's do it. No, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I think it'd be a smart move for them to get away from Ellie and Joel. I don't think we need to see Jackson anymore. Like we can totally go away from that.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to set it in a different country, other than the US. That could be interesting. I don't know exactly where you'd put it, but pretty much any setting would be pretty interesting just to see how another country dealt with well, I guess they're not called zombies in the
I forget what
game,
they
right?
called them. I mean, they called them clickers, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to put it in a country where the atmosphere is a bit different. You know what I mean? Like
So Scandinavia.
I'm just saying, like something that's more extremely cold,
Nordic
extremely hot, one of the
country.
two that you didn't really get in basing it in the USA, right?
Or like the desert.
Well, that would be the extremely hot
different. Let's go completely different, right?
Just go in a place where the cordyceps can't multiply, and it's just has nothing to do with any. You don't see any clickers. The There's no danger. Yeah.
Let's go to the rainforest. Let's do it. Yeah. Could be interesting. Anyway, let's do this one from Hacker Alias, the Konami Code, who says, what is your quote point of no return when it comes to deciding to finish a game versus drop it? I am thinking of the games that aren't all bad, but which might be a slog to complete.
I think there's a lot of different factors. I don't give a game a ton of time to hook me anymore. I just sort of, I'll try for a few days, and then it's just like, okay, if it's not compelling, then I'm moving on. And I will say, if I hear that a game is like 50 plus hours, even if you're mainlining it, it doesn't necessarily mean I won't play it, but it really needs to hook me fast. You know what I mean? Like I need to be in a position where, like, thinking of Tears of the Kingdom, great example. I knew going into that game was going to be way bigger than a game I would normally finish. But I just was so happy with the updates they'd made to that gameplay, and that it kept me going. It kept me going because I wanted to, every day when I got home, I was waiting for when I could turn that game on and play it. Right. So at that point, then yes, a more lengthy game doesn't necessarily hurt. But if I know that it's going to be a lengthy game, then man, it really needs to grab me fast. I am not going 10 hours before it gets good. That's the stupidest. No. I hate that trend so much. I hate that recommendation so much. Like, well, after 12 hours, it really gets good. Nope. Then it never gets good because I'll never get
used to the bad things about it, right?
Right.
I'm kind of the same way. I don't really like finish too many video games in general, so I'm fine with deciding not to finish a game. So for me, there's not really like a point of no return on anything. I could stop, and I stopped playing Tears of the Kingdom. Basically, I put one of those fast travel stones down right at the final area and haven't gone back to it. So for me, there is no point of no return, I suppose.
I started
feel like I could go back to it, but
my main goal is to finish a game that I start.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, like that's what I want to play for the experience too, but it's like, I think that's why I turn them off so fast. If it's like, I just want to move on to the next one. I want to feel like I'm making progress.
Yeah, I get it. All right, this last one, I think we can cast judgment on Phil.
Okay.
In this one. Hacker Alias CERN Stuff says, what do you guys think of the Steam trading cards? Is Phil a collector of these useless beauties? And is he enjoying Beyond Shadowgate? As I use these cards exclusively to finance my next games. Wow, okay. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that my Grim Reaper card from Beyond Shadowgate was sold to none other than Whimsical Phil. Or was it the devil? Thanks, Phil, and sorry for exposing your addiction. Love you guys. Cheers from Brazil.
I have nothing to say about these cards. I know they exist. but I've
I know
never
they
really
exist.
looked at them.
I've earned them in games. I don't do anything with them. Although there was somebody who apparently bought a Steam Deck using only money they got from Steam trading cards. That was the thing that happened this week. So, hey, I guess they must be kind of valuable to somebody. Not to me.
No.
I don't even know the value of the Steam trading cards that I have. Probably not great in general, but I know I don't have enough to buy a Steam Deck with them. So
yeah, no, me neither.
I did want to shout out the Player One Podcast VR group on our Discord that plays mini golf every weekend. Walkabout mini golf. We played the Las Vegas / Elvis course this past weekend. I guess I didn't really talk about it in my what you've been playing, but played that. Really great, really fun course that had a lot of like fun interactive elements, like guitars that you can sort of strum with your golf club.
Nice.
And these areas based upon Elvis's songs, like the Heartbreak Hotel area. Yeah, that's the only one I remember right now. No, like they had like a slot machine hole. They had like just a lot of really fun neon infused areas in Walkabout Mini Golf. And that game continues to be awesome, and a reason why I need to boot up VR every week. There was a stretch there where I was not playing mini golf every weekend.
What?
I'm trying to be back into that. So, but hey, if you have a Quest headset, want to play mini golf, join the P1 Discord, join the VR channel, and there's an event in our Discord for that, so you can know what time it's at. We have people playing from all around the world, and it's usually a really good group. So,
usually, but there's some of you, and you know who you are.
There's some people, yeah. I mean, we just gotta get Phil to play at some point, though. Then we can kick him out of the group. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us, or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on various social networks, including Threads and Blue Sky. And if you want to contact us through more traditional means, you can go to player1podcast.com. You'll find our contact information there. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Stewart. You'll find Generation 16 episodes, and you'll find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about on this episode, and a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or to the whatever it is, Apple Podcasts app. Is that right?
I mean, yes. Whatever podcast client that you use.
And if you want to watch us live, you can do so on YouTube, on
Twitch,
Facebook, on Twitch.
That's it.
At 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Sunday evening.
Using the Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern
time zone. Okay.
I don't use Atlantic because nobody lives in. No, every time I tell anyone about Atlantic time, I just get a quizzical look. I'm in Atlantic time. We're an hour ahead of Eastern, but Eastern is more Canadian American friendly, apparently. Anyway, yeah, you can check us out there. I don't remember what else Phil says, but what I will do is I'll go on to the Patreon bit. If you like what you've heard, and as Phil would say, how could you? You can go to patreon.com/player1podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. We can keep the lights on. CJ's haircut. CJ's hair doesn't cut itself. He needs to pay for. He goes to a really expensive barber. You can tell.
No, I don't.
By looking at
I don't. I do not.
Neither do I.
I get my haircut next to a gas station. That's where my barber is.
Like in the alley next to a gas station?
No,
Okay.
no. It's in a building connected to a gas station.
You know, when I first moved to Chicago, so my mom's a barber. I had never, ever, ever gone to a barber that wasn't my mother.
Oh, wow.
Until I was 23 years old. And so when I first moved to Chicago, I went for a long time without a haircut because I just didn't, it wasn't a thing I did. And I didn't have a whole lot of hair at that point anyway. But I remember going, because there was actually a barber when I moved to Elmhurst. There was a barber right downstairs from my apartment. So I ended up going right on that block. So I ended up going to them. And I think that's one of the, I don't know what I did for haircuts while I was, again, I didn't have much hair, but I don't have very vivid memories about haircuts that weren't from my mom. Anyway.
Did you have to call her up and be like, Mom, what do I ask for?
I remember going into the barber and saying, like,
2?
I don't know what I'm asking for. Like, I don't know at all. Like, I've never had to hold that conversation with a barber because my barber was my mom. So, yeah. She was a barber. She was a barber for like 40 years.
You just pointed the hairstyle poster.
Yeah, give me that. You don't have enough hair for that. Okay, never mind. Just trim it. Yeah, but anyway, your support is greatly appreciated. Keeps the lights on, keeps the servers up, helps us buy information. Doesn't help us buy information. Helps us buy stuff we need for the show, like the fancy microphone CJ's got hanging in front of his face over there.
True.
And if you are a supporter of the $5 variety,
cheap.
Is that what I sound like?
Yes.
That's your me impression? It's pretty insulting.
That's my Seward impression.
Hi,
I'm Greg Seward. I like racing games. Doopy 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 doop.
Screw you, man. You get access to our after show where we play games, we quack. We crack wise. Do all the things we can't do on the regular show. CJ.
Yeah.
Do we have an after show this week?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do. We do have an after show. This one is going to be from Hackrealius Marky Mark 2. It's going to be 80s and 90s genre films part 3, the final showdown. So,
but
unfortunately, we don't have Phil here to help us.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be a pretty interesting one. We'll see how we do.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, please do support the show and stick around and listen to that. Hey, and if you got a few bucks left over, please consider heading over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Greg Seward, where you can support my show, Generation 16, along with all the other videos that I do. I released a video this week talking about the Sega Saturn memories. And if you are a supporter of the $3 variety,
also cheap.
That's a new impression. You get access, or you get early access to every video. You get to watch them a week early.
That was my Phil.
That was pretty spot on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Please consider supporting the show. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hosting this week.
Thank you, Greg.
Phil, wherever you are, we hope you feel better. Hope to see you back next week. And to everyone listening, thank you so much for listening and for your support. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.